what do you guys want to hear about building a program? That's what I'm supposed to talk about? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay? With me, I'm different, right? I require your involvement, right? If you want me to be enthusiastic, you got to be enthusiastic. Does that make sense? Okay? If you just sit there and look at me, well, why shouldn't I just sit here and look at you? Okay? Because it's not registering. Because you're here, I'm making the assumption you're here to get something out of this, right? And you got to have what? Questions? Okay, one of the biggest problems, all right, of dealing with people, right, in any environment, it doesn't make any difference. Even if you're a little kid in second grade, why didn't you ever raise your hand? Because you were afraid somebody was going to what? Think what you said was what? Wrong, dumb, stupid. So you didn't get what? You didn't get involved, okay? So I've been doing this for a long time, right? So I got 40-some years, 50 years of experience of doing this, right? The key for you, right? What I tell people, if I want to go to the top of the mountain, right? If I'm getting into mountain climbing, you know who I'm going to go talk to? I'm going to go talk to a mountain climber. I'm going to ask that guy, what do I got to do to get to the top of the mountain? And then I'm going to do what? Exactly what he tells me to do. Okay? Okay? And that's what I try. Eh? I'm not here to say I am this super smart da-da-da-da. Okay? But good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. Okay? I've made all the mistakes that you don't have to make. Okay? But the choice is yours. We talked about last night. Okay? And so you guys gotta kind of decide what you want to get out of this about building a program, okay? Because it's different for everybody, okay? What some people have resources other people don't have, okay? So if you ask a question, I'll answer it based upon what I know, okay? So there's got to be I would like some interaction from you guys. Who cares? Just ask, because the guy next to you has probably got the same question, right, as you're sitting in school, and you were afraid to ask it, and then he asks it. So he's thinking the same thing you are. So it's got to be an open deal, right? So developing a program is a big deal, right? The biggest thing is, and you'll find that I'm fairly blunt, right? I'm going to tell you some things. You might not like what I tell you. You not like the order that I tell you in, but I'm going to tell you what I've perceived and found to be the truth. Okay? Anybody want a better wrestling program? That's why you're all here, right? Okay. Then you have to decide how good you want your wrestling program to be. Do you want it to be here? Do you want it to be here? Do you want it to be here? Or you want it to be here? Do you want an A program in your school? A B or a C? Or a D? You get to what? What do we say? Second greatest gift is? You get to what? You get to choose. See? That's where choice comes in. Okay? So before we can do anything else, you got to choose how good you want to be. Okay? Because to get an A in school, is it harder than getting a B? Is getting a B harder than getting a C? Getting a C is just kind of going through the motion. Is that what you want for your program? Okay? Then you have to be willing to invest more into your program. And the investment is different for everybody. Okay? And what I say by that, have you ever had as you were coming through as an athlete, okay, that you worked and you did this and you did that, and you did this as a coach, and the other, or as an athlete, and the other guy always won? Huh? Did it kind of dishearten you a little bit? You're working your butt off. You're doing everything right. This guy's doing nothing right, and he's getting all the success. Okay? So here's the deal. Okay? Here's the phrase you want to remember. Do not compare yourself. This is a very important phrase, because this happened to me in college, and it hurt me for a while. And it said, do not compare yourself with others. For you will become vain and bitter, for there will always be those greater and lesser than you. Okay? So what happens is you start looking at people, right, and what they do, and you do the exact same thing as they do, but you don't get the exact same reward. They might have more ability than you do, right? They might have different factors that allows them to get it. You have to decide, right, in order to get the same thing. Maybe they have maybe they put 30% of effort in, right, to get the results that you want. They do, but they have different what than you. They have different skills, okay? They have different skills. So what they can do in 30 units, it will take you 70 units to do, okay? That's the way it works in life, okay? You just have to decide if you're willing to invest the what? The 70 units, see? That comes back to you. Now, most people don't want to hear, okay? They don't want to hear what I'm telling them because they're willing to invest the 30 units. They don't want to invest the 70, okay? So when this guy goes home for the night, you stay at work and you work until 8 or 9, right? To get the exact same thing he gets with 30 units. But the what is yours. The choice is yours. The same thing is true in athletics. The same thing is true with the kids that you're coaching. Some kids can get it with 30 units. Other kids require what? 70. The 70 units. What you have to do is help them realize, okay, that they're different. Not that they can't get there, but they have to do something different and go a different way to get to the same place. That's your job, okay? And so all of them are different. The investment to get the return is different for everybody. And that is, for me, is the paramount thing, because then what you have to do is you have to treat everybody what? Different. Because there have different things that you need to pull out of everybody for them to get what they want to get, see? And if you don't do that, the chances of getting them there, you won't get them there. Okay? You won't get them there. Okay? There's nothing more common than great people with talent that fail. Okay? Nothing more common. How many times you see a guy and go, God, that kid could be so good if, okay? And he never gets to be good because of the if. See? There's something that's holding everybody back from being great. When you go into the wrestling room, most people want to wrestle where? On their what? On their feet. How many of your kids suck underneath? Do they go there and work on it? No. We as humans, understanding human nature, we as humans don't do what we're bad at. Okay? So we can't get better. We can't get good at it. See? So if we don't work, right? So if I'm trying to get somebody to a different level, right? And everybody's working on takedowns, right? And if I was to spend 15 minutes a day hypothetically getting where they could get away, where everybody is bad, where can they get the biggest growth as far as their wrestling? Underneath. Eh? But they ain't going to do it on their own. Coach Roderick at Oklahoma State, okay, and then the question is, what is your philosophy? What is your philosophy on beating somebody? You have to decide what it is. Say, you do, not me. Okay? What are you going to give to your kids so that they can work on a philosophy that works all the time? Okay, Roderick's philosophy when I went to Oklahoma State was this. If you can take anybody down, and if you can get away from them, not ride them, not pin them, and not reverse them. If you can take them down and get away from them, you can beat anybody in the country. You don't need the rest. Okay, now, think what that does to you. Okay? 5 areas: takedown, escapes, reversals, pinning, and riding. I get 100 minutes to work on wrestling every day in my high school wrestling room. I'm going to spread it over how many minutes in each area? 20 minutes on each area, right? So that's what you're going to do in your philosophy. And I'm not, I'm toying with you here, so don't take this personal, okay? So that's what you're going to do. What I'm going to do, because of my philosophy, take them down and get away from them, I'm going to spend 60 minutes every day on my feet, and I'm going to spend 40 minutes getting away, okay? I don't need to do the rest. I'm going to be 3 times better than you on my feet and twice as good as you as getting away. I don't need the other 3, okay? Now, you can do all kinds of different deals, okay? But it's your philosophy, the philosophy you want, all right? As an example, you might be a big guy on riding, and there's teams, okay, that win on riding, okay? And it's a little bit different because not every high school, I think, not every high school has riding time, does it? No. Okay, so you got to eliminate riding time. So what's the use of riding? Okay, what would be the use of riding? Anybody?
Overtime, 30 seconds.
Overtime. That's it right there. It's to tire them out. To break them what? Mentally. How many kids like to get the crap ridden out of them for 2 minutes? Nobody. Okay? Not only, and if you learn to ride the right way, okay, you can make him expend what? Twice the amount of energy to get away that I do on top. Instead of riding behind his hips and following him, if I ride high on him and keep my arms behind his arms, I can put pressure on him and make him carry my weight, which makes him burn more what? Energy. He's only got a finite amount of energy. He's only got 100 units of energy, hypothetically. If I can make him burn 60 units or 40 units of energy and get him down to 60, okay? How many guys that you see that are really, really good get really, really tired? Okay? Get a tired guy good? He ain't so good, is he? Get a guy that's got great technique tired? How good is his technique? He sucks, okay? So the one thing that's common, right, for me, I'm going to get the other guy what? Tired. And everything that I do is going to be predicated on that end, to get him tired. Whether it's the way I go forward, why do I go forward? I go forward to put pressure on him. If I put pressure on him, he's doing what? He's fighting out of stuff, right? Is it easier to get into something or try and get out of something? It takes a tremendous amount of energy to get out of something. So I'm continually going forward, right? So as soon as the whistle blows, I'm going into him. I'm getting my hands on him, right? But I'm keeping in very good position. So the thing that I have to teach him is what? Right? Good what? Good position. Because good position, it's hard to be scored upon, right? I don't have to score upon you, okay? I don't have to score upon you. But what I have to have is great defense. Because you can't beat me if you can't score on me. It's that simple, okay? So if I got great defense and I shut you down in the first period, I shut you down. You can't do it, okay? You can't do it. You can't take me down, okay? Hypothetically, let's say I'm not really good on my feet. I can't take you down, but you can't take me down. Now, the second part is I can get a what? I can get away, okay? Now, if I can do what? Ride you, who wins? I do, okay? So how are you going to tie your philosophy together, okay, so that it works for who you're trying to coach? And different guys can do different things. They have different abilities. And your job as a coach is to find out where they're good. One guy might be great on his feet. One guy might be great at riding, okay? But as you want to develop a plan for your team, what do you want to do? How good do you want to be? Okay? When I went to Minnesota, okay, when I went to Iowa originally, all right, I wrestled at Oklahoma State. We won the Nationals 2 out of the 3 years I was eligible. All right? Oklahoma State at that time had won more national titles than anybody else. Iowa had never won anything. Gable and I were on the Olympic team together. We went there. I was in the Army. He went there right away. I resigned my commission. I went there 6 months after it. Right? And within this next thing, there was a culture that was built, and that's what you're looking to do. There was a culture that was built of what you could do, these things, but it was these very special things. But it was built in a place that nobody ever had anything. And so what you have to do is you have to teach kids, right, how to believe. Believing is a skill. You don't automatically learn it. So how are you going to teach them? And you teach people how to do things by actually doing things. Okay? The more you do anything, the better you get at it, the more you believe that you can do it. If you don't hardly do it very often, okay, you're not going to believe you can do it. It's not a very hard process. It just requires work. Okay? My parents taught me, and I believe this to be true, and I've done this in my life. I'm average and ordinary. I'm average and ordinary. But I've been in the top 2 or 3% of everything I've done because of my work ethic. I've learned that I can outwork 90% of all Americans. I can be in the top 10% of everything that I do if I'll work. See? Now, the majority of people will find 100 different excuses not to work that hard. There are studies that have done the average American, if they make anywhere from $78,000 to $90,000, that's enough. They stop working. They want to go enjoy it. Okay? Just a fact. Everybody reaches their level, right? I'm a big believer, and you'll hear me talk all the time of human nature, because if you don't understand human nature, you'll fight it your whole life. If you understand it, you can use it to your benefit, because people react the same way, given the same circumstances, pretty much throughout the world. Yeah.
Totally agree with what you're
No.
saying. And, I wanna
No, you know it.
It's a good program. We pushed really, really hard with group kids last year, and they had great results. Now the problem I'm having is from the retention standpoint, getting them to come back this year, because they know how hard a work it was to have the success that they had last year. And so a couple of those kids are now, who were extremely high performers, that did those things last year. Now a year later, they're like, I don't know that I want to make that sacrifice. How? And I mean,
How do you?
practice talks, after practice talks, met with them each individually about goals throughout, really trying to get that culture. But here we are 8 months later, and I'm struggling to get
it, some of them come back. And you'll always have that, okay? And I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not poo-hooing it, okay? Because it is a problem. It's because what they've done, what did I just tell you about Americans? When they make what? $70,000 to $90,000, it's what? It's enough. They settle. So you got guys, this is enough, I don't want any more, all right? There will always be those guys, all right? The thing that you can do, what is the greatest thing that you can put on any high school kids or junior high kids? What's the thing that they all respond to? Peer pressure. Okay? They're more concerned about their peers than anything else. So what you need to do from a wrestling standpoint is you need to frickin' slick them. Okay? You need to slick them. Okay? Get them to do it without them thinking to do it. So things that you could do, right, is make the hard part. The question I would ask is, what's the fun part for them? Okay? Why not say, if you're on the wrestling team, as soon as the wrestling season's over, we're going to take a 3-day, we're going to cut school for a day, and we're going to go to Disney World for a day. And then this summer, we're going on a camp out for a week, the whole team together, right? And we're going to go some da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and make it such a special thing to be a part of. Everybody wants to be a part of something special, okay? And the only way you can get that is to get into the group. And the only way that you can do that is the group gives it back, okay? Everybody wants to be a part of something elite, okay? So make it elite, okay? And slick them. Try and get to them a different way than just, what you're trying to do is use logic to get them, okay? Okay, they're not going to respond to logic, all right? Okay, no different than we as parents talk to our kids logical about not doing this and this and this. How good does that work? Not very good, okay? So you got to find different ways to slick them, okay? Think of different ways. Sit down with them and say, and ask the question. What would it take to make you stay? Did you ask that question? What'd they say?
It's kind of a hem-haw, and we get to the, what honestly is it? And for one kid, it was, well, I wrestled year-round for all this time, and it just started to be pressure.
Yeah.
Once we can get through all the, well, I have this conflict, we can work through that conflict. Well, then it just keeps shifting to a different a different yeah.
Yeah, and you'll always run into those people, okay? But one of the other things that are here, okay, that I would say to do is while you're building your culture, okay? And this is a good analogy, get the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus. Because what you're trying to do is make people do something they don't want to do, okay? And that's very hard to do. That's very, very, very hard to do, okay? And you can only get to a point and this will sound bad, especially as a soldier, okay? You can't save them all, okay? And what happens is the amount of time I end up spending over here, I found, okay, even at a very elite level, I've found that I've had guys when I was at Iowa and Minnesota, they were great. They could have been great, but they weren't willing to do what was going to do. And the thing that I found personally for me to live in the world is that these guys that wanted to be here that weren't as good, I'm screwing these guys for these guys that don't want to be good. So you know what? I give these guys 2 or 3 shots, and then I spend my time here because these are the people I want to be with. One of the taglines, and it took me, this is an interesting thing, and it only happened about 4 or 5 years ago. I just woke up one day, and it just kind of hit me. One of the taglines of Army Rangers is, you leave no man behind, right? What does that mean? Okay, and I've always heard the tagline, right? Rangers leave nobody behind. But for some reason, about 3 or 4 years ago, it really smacked me. And what it means is somebody is going to come get me no matter what. Even if I screw up, even if I make the wrong call, went the wrong way, got some people hurt, they're gonna come get me, see? And so what you do is you build a bond of trust, see? And that's who you're looking for on your team. When you're gonna go into something that's very hard, it's like the team that the team in 2001. It's the only team in 120 years that has had an All-American at every weight. There's only been one. It's a pretty amazing thing when you think about it, okay? But those guys would fight for each other. That's who you want to look, okay? Because that is hard to put into people. Skills, takedowns, double legs, single legs, that is easy, okay? So what you're looking for is what's inside them, okay? And what can I bring out of them? And this guy might suck, but I can fight this guy, or I can go in and work with this guy, and I know he's gonna listen to me, he's gonna do, and he's gonna get better. And then that's all about what? Development. Can I develop him? Somebody did a study of X a year of Minnesota and everybody else. We developed more kids than anybody did. From nothing, right? Never hardly ever won the recruiting battle, okay? But we look for what? The most important thing? We look for attitude first. Okay? When you got the right attitude, you can fix a lot of structural problems. But without the right attitude, bluntly put, it's a bitch to put in somebody. Okay, it's very, very hard because they have to be the ones that open up. If they don't open up, there's not much you can do to get to them. Okay? And even loss and disappointment, all it does a lot of times is makes them more stubborn than anything. Okay? So what you do is for me, I'm going to give them my best shot, and then I found out, or for me personally, I'm going to give them my best shot, but I'm not going to waste my time with this person. Even if this person only is going to get 5th or 6th in the state, for me, that's success, as opposed to this guy where I'm wasting my time. I don't want to waste my time, okay? Time is a valuable asset, right? When you get to be an old fart like me, you got less of it, so you don't want to what? That's right, okay? I don't care. This kid say, yeah, coach, tell me what to do. I'm right here with you. And we're going to go through this together, and I'm going to give you everything I got, and I'm going to put umpteen hours in it. This guy, I got no time for, okay? Because I found over the course of time, this kid over here will get there a lot of times. Answer your question? I have a tendency to run on sometimes. So where are we?
Human nature.
Human nature. Okay, so the other thing is, all right, okay, you got to have a plan. What is your plan to get there? All right? If you're building your culture and you've decided and told people what it is, what do you really want to do? I went to Minnesota and I said, and I'm coming from Iowa, where we had won umpteen eight national championships in a row, and say, hey, we're going to win here. Do you think anybody believed me? No, the best they ever had was 4th. All right? So what you have to do is you have to build a culture of belief. And the way you do that is by actually doing things. See? You can talk to people about doing things all you want, but until you start doing things, right? Okay, and there's a good quote, and it says, measurable progress in a reasonable amount of time. Okay? You got to see progress. You got to let them see progress. And as they see progress, they get more what? Confidence. They get more excited. They get more excited, they want to invest more. Okay? That's the way it works. Human nature, if you study human nature a little bit, you'll be amazed at what you can learn because it's pretty much the same everywhere. There are stories, okay, in every culture that will tell you about different things about humans, right? Africa, they'll use lions and gazelles, right? In Peru, they'll use llamas, right? Okay? In America, they'll use buffalo. But the stories are all the same, okay? Because human nature does not change anywhere in the world, okay? And so if you can start studying it, looking at it, and what people do, and why they do it, and why kids do it, you'll get an idea of what you've got to deal with and how you can deal with it all the time, all right? So you got to get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus. The next thing you got to do is you got to be this, and it's what I call the keeper of the flame. You have to believe when nobody else can believe. You have to believe when it's dark, when there's no light, when there's no hope that you will make it, okay? Okay? And it's happened throughout history. Anybody know who Winston Churchill is? What did he tell the British people in the darkest days of the Nazis bombing? Okay? Never, never, never surrender. Okay? Same thing. Okay? He gave them what? Hope. Okay? You are in the same situation as you build your program because they will stumble and they will stumble. How good will a team be? How good would a team be, let's say if a coach has got them and they're 8-16? They going to be any good? That team is going to be any good? Okay, I'm going to give you $1 million. You got to bet on that team. You going to bet on that team? Huh?
No.
No, you're not. Okay? But that team, right, that school is the only school in 115 years to have an All-American in every weight class. Okay? Because what you're doing is you're having a tendency to bet where they are, not where they're going. See? So as you build that culture, what you have to be is what I call the keeper of the flame. You have to hold the image and what you want when nobody else can believe. It took 10 years for Minnesota, right? I was 8-15 my first year. It took 10 years for us to get a national trophy, right? Until 1997. We got one in 97, 98, 99. We lost the NCAA tournament by 2 points. Right? I was super mad at God. Super, super mad, okay? Is that we were there and there was 10 different ways we should have won. I think I told you guys this before, all right? And we didn't win. I was pissed, to put it bluntly. Is that, you know, been a good Christian my whole life, thought I did stuff the right. I mean, I stumbled my fair share of time, but, okay, we didn't get it. I was disappointed, and for about 3 or 4 or 5 months. And then finally I realized that I would never win, but it was important that I kept doing the same thing, building the culture. 2 years later, we were the only team in the history of the NCAA that has had an All-American at every weight, okay? So there was a different plan, there was a better plan, okay? But the question is, it's going to take you some time to get there as you build your culture, because you want to get the right people on the bus and what? The wrong people off the bus, okay? And it takes a while to do that because you have to teach them how to believe, right? You got to teach them how to believe, right? If a kid, as a high school kid, if a kid on a wrestling team was, say as a freshman on a freshman team was 1-7, is that kid going to be any good? Are you going to spend a lot of time with him? Be realistically, Coach, would you?
I do.
Depends on his attitude.
Yeah. Okay. Attitude, okay, important. That kid, 1-7 on the freshman team, won 2 state titles, was the outstanding wrestler in the state of California his senior year. I know him pretty well, okay, because it was me, okay? But there was a coach that what? Believed in me. Okay? Coach that believed in me. And that's who you are. You, okay, there's a great line. Jack Nicholson says it. Anybody seen A Few Good Men? See? Okay, and I'm going to use you guys. You guys have a greater responsibility than you can fathom. Okay? That's the first part of what he says. Okay? Because you're the first line that influences and can change kids' lives. You have more emphasis and thing over them than anybody else at their school. And a lot of times even more so than their parents. So what you feed them and what you tell them and what you give them becomes very, very, very important, right? So the right people, keeper of the flame, what do you want them to learn? Do you have it written down on a piece of paper? Okay? What I would suggest you all do is build yourself a notebook. And within that notebook, okay, pick all the cool things that you want to help those kids get there. This, all right, is what a kid is that's coming to you. He's got no skills, none. Whatever you help him do, this is who he will become. So if you don't give him anything, you're going to be like this, okay? And so what you can do, if you build your own notebook, it can be pretty cool. You can do goal setting in there. You can do goal setting in there. If you send me something, I'll send you some stuff what you could do. The only thing that I would say is you give camp credit for it, okay? Is that, okay, you go through and you do a goal setting thing. Okay? You do a deal of who they want to be. Okay? It's amazing. There's a process is this. Okay? I'll tell you to do this. Okay, here's your assignment, and you have to tell me within 1 week what they are. You have to go home, and I want you to pick 7 words. 7 words, okay, that would represent who you want to become. You can pick any 7 words you want, see? But what you're doing is you're giving yourself a roadmap to how you'll make every decision for the rest of your life. What's really important to you? At camp, we have, over the course of years, we've had the J7, okay? Discipline, dedication, sacrifice, hard work, responsibility, accountability, and service. 6 of the skills are about you. 7th is about helping other people. So your assignment is, right, I want you to pick 7 words. If you were sitting in front of Almighty God, and God said to you, who would you like to be? Would that be freaking cool or what? Be pretty cool, wouldn't it? That's exactly what he's asking you to do by giving you choice. You get to pick who you want to be. But the most of us, we don't have a list. So we don't really know who in the hell we want to be, and we just do it come see, come saw as we go through life. See? Eh? Because once you pick your 7 words, and it'll take you a while to get your 7, you'll stick by those things. Eh? And they'll pretty much stick. And you can change them, eh? But most of the times when you find what are pretty much absolutes of who you want to be, okay, after a while they won't change. Do we get to go in the Bible and change the 10 Commandments? No, they're pretty much there. So who do you want to be? Okay? More importantly, right, you can take the same concept and do it with your high school team. Who do you want them to be? Okay? One of the things you want to make them do is think. Okay? It's funny. I worked for a guy, his name is Major Yuswa, and I was a 2nd lieutenant. It was just a shaved tail 2nd lieutenant. But I remember what he said. He always said, Lieutenant, if I don't teach you anything, I'm going to teach you how to think. He made me learn how to think. When I went to work in the day, I better know why we were doing whatever it was we were doing. Okay? And it got to be a huge game with him. Okay? But it wasn't very long because he'd say, did we do this? And I'd say, no, sir, we didn't. And it was the most obvious thing in the world. And after about 4 months, I'd go in and he said, did we do this? Very arrogantly, 2nd lieutenant, I'd say, yes, sir, we did that. And he said, well, what about this? I said, yes, sir, we did that. Do. Sooner or later, you got to the part where you're done. You guys got to go, so get you out of here, all right? So that's it.